Wait, this can't be right, I whispered, staring at the document in my hands. It's all signed, Julia, my mom snapped across the table. The company goes to your sister. Don't make a scene. My sister smirked, leaning back in her chair. You didn't really think you were CEO material, did you? My dad raised his voice so everyone heard. You should just be happy for her. I could feel my aunt and uncle's eyes on me, the cake in the middle of the table screaming in blue frosting. Congrats, Emily, new CEO. Mom leaned in close, her voice low but sharp. We couldn't risk the business on someone like you. My chair scraped the floor as I stood up, heart pounding. Someone like me? What are you really trying to say, Mom? My name's Julia. I'm 24 years old and I just graduated with a degree in business management. For a company I honestly believed I'd help run one day. I walked out of that dining room and into my tiny bedroom, shut the door, and just stood there, staring at the wall. My hands were still shaking from what I'd just heard. Let me back up for a second. My family owns a small printing shop in our town. Nothing huge, nothing fancy. We print flyers, posters, menus, school programs, that kind of thing. Over the last few years, we started doing designs and online orders too. That part became my world. I grew up in that shop. While other kids were at the mall, I was there after school, folding brochures until my fingers hurt, cleaning ink off the machines, helping my dad load paper into the giant printer that always smelled like hot plastic and paper dust. I'm the oldest, the responsible one, the one who didn't go away for college because Mom said, "We'll need you here, Jules. This business is your future." So I stayed in town. I went to the local university. I took classes in the morning, worked at the shop in the afternoon, and did homework at the counter between customers. My little sister Emily is a year younger than me. She was always the pretty one, the one who loved makeup, outfits, and posing for photos. She was never really into the shop. I'd be there on Saturdays running the register, and she'd be out taking pictures for her social media, posting captions like, "Grind never stops," when she'd just taken a nap. I don't say that to be mean. It's just the truth. Growing up, every time Emily did anything, got a B on a test, posted a TikTok that got a few thousand views, Mom and Dad would go on and on. "You're amazing, Emily. You're a star." When I stayed up until 2 a.m., finishing a huge rush order for a client, Dad would just say, "Good. That's what family does." I always felt like I was expected, like my work was just the background music of our family, and Emily was the main show. On the outside, I looked like the boring one. I wore simple clothes, I didn't wear much makeup, and my idea of fun was reading about marketing trends. I wasn't rich or glamorous. I didn't have the shiny life my sister posted online, but I had something nobody in that dining room expected. I actually knew how to run that business. If you've ever been humiliated by your own family, subscribe right now and share your story below, because what happened next still makes my chest hurt when I think about it. Graduation week was supposed to be my moment. I was exhausted, but proud. I'd spent 4 years juggling full-time classes with part-time work at the shop. While my classmates went to parties, I was at the printer packing orders. My eyes always burned from staring at screens and invoices, but I kept going because in my head I heard my dad's voice. "One day, this will all be yours." The night before graduation, my parents sat with me at the kitchen table. Mom patted my hand. "We're so proud of you, honey," she said. Dad smiled. "After the ceremony, we've planned a special family dinner. We've got big news about the business." My heart flew. Big news. About the business. I imagined them handing me some official folder, talking about my new role now that I had my degree. I pictured my name on a door. Maybe not CEO yet, but something real. The next day, at graduation, they were late. I stood in line in my cap and gown, scanning the bleachers. Everyone else was waving at their families, blowing kisses, pointing them out. I just kept checking the entrance. They rushed in just as the row in front of me was walking across the stage. Mom was adjusting her earrings. Dad was looking for seats. By the time I heard my name, Julia Ramirez, summa cum laude, I walked across the stage to the sound of strangers clapping. My parents weren't even looking, they were still sitting down. When I found them after, Dad said, Sorry we missed your name. Traffic was horrible. Emily was there too, in a tight dress and heels, ring light in one hand, phone in the other. She turned her camera on herself. Hey guys, I'm at my sister's graduation. Kind of. She's finally done with school. She swung the phone around to catch me. Say hi, Julia. I forced a smile and waved. Mom fussed with Emily's hair. Your curls look so pretty on camera, she said. Then she glanced at me. Oh, that cord looks nice. My honors cord, that I'd worked like crazy for. On the drive home, Mom and Emily squished into the back seat, giggling at something on her phone. I sat in the front with Dad. He cleared his throat. So, you're officially done with school. Now we can really talk about the future of the business. I turned to him, hope rising fast. Yeah, I've been thinking of some ideas for expansion. We'll talk at dinner, he cut in. Your mom wants it to be special. My chest warmed. Special. Big news. This was it. Finally, after all the years of being just help, they were going to trust me. When we walked into the house, I smelled roasted chicken and garlic. The dining table was covered with plates, salad, potatoes, bread. My aunt and uncle were already there, sitting and chatting. Then I saw the cake in the middle of the table. Congrats, Emily, it said in huge pink and blue letters, and underneath, in smaller letters, new CEO. I actually laughed, because my brain couldn't catch up. Wait, I said, pointing. CEO of what? Everyone went quiet for a second. Then Dad stood up, smiling big, like he'd just won a prize. Family, he said, lifting his glass. We have some exciting news. We've decided to make Emily the official owner and CEO of the company. They all clapped. My aunt stood up and hugged Emily first. Well done, Emily. I always said you had that it factor. They passed her envelopes, gifts, hugged her. The word CEO bounced around the room like a balloon, but none of those letters landed near me. I just sat there, staring at the cake. I thought we'd talk about my role, I finally said, my voice small. My mom rolled her eyes. Julia, don't do this now. Don't do what? I looked from her to my dad. You always said this business was my future. I stayed. I worked. I went to school for it. Mom picked up the serving knife. You're too sensitive for leadership, honey, she said, as if she was saying something kind. You're better in the back office with the numbers. Emily smirked at me across the table. Don't worry, she said, laughing a little. I'll still need someone to handle the boring stuff. My face went hot. Boring stuff? You mean the systems that kept you all afloat during the pandemic? The online orders? Dad cleared his throat and pulled out a folder from his briefcase by the sideboard. Look, he said, flipping it open. We've already signed the new documents. The company is now officially under Emily Ramirez Media and Print LLC. She's the majority shareholder. It's done. I took the pages with trembling hands. I recognized our business name, our address, the legal language. But seeing my sister's name in bold next to owner hit me like a punch. You've been moving everything into her name, I whispered. For months, he said. We had to be ready. You told me, I said, trying to breathe. You told me, work hard and one day this will all be yours. You said that. To me. My aunt sipped her wine and said loudly, well, at least Julia has a degree. She can teach or something. There was a little laugh around the table, the polite kind that stings. Why didn't you even talk to me? I asked. Mom put the knife down with a loud clink. Because you overreact to everything, and we needed someone with presence. Emily's a natural leader, Julia. Look at her social media, people love her. So what am I to you? I said, my voice cracking. What have I been all these years? Mom leaned in, eyes hard. You'll always be our helper, Julia. Don't confuse that with being in charge. The room went so quiet, I could hear the clock on the wall, and that was the moment something in me finally snapped. A few days after that dinner, they had a business strategy brunch. I found out about it from Instagram. I was sitting on my bed in my pajamas, scrolling aimlessly, when Emily's story popped up. There she was in a pastel jumpsuit at a trendy restaurant downtown, clinking glasses with my parents and a couple of people I recognized as clients. Text over the video. First brunch as CEO, share boss life, family business. I stared at the looping video, the huge plates of eggs and fruit, my dad laughing, my mom fixing Emily's necklace. I checked my messages to see if I'd missed a text. Nothing. When they got home, I was at the kitchen table with my laptop, working on invoices. How was brunch? I asked, trying to sound neutral. Dad shrugged off his coat. It was fine, just casual. Why wasn't I invited? Mom opened the fridge. Oh, Julia, we didn't want you to feel pressured. You just graduated. You should relax. It looked like business talk, I said. Clients were there. It was mainly about branding, Mom said, pulling out a drink. You hate those influencer type things. You'd be bored. I looked down at my screen. I thought I was part of the business, I said quietly. You are, Dad said. You help, don't start. That afternoon, they napped on the couch, full and happy from their just casual brunch. I heated leftover takeout noodles and ate alone in my room, while Emily posted group photos with the caption Dream Team. That word again, team. I realized I wasn't on it. The next week at the shop, Emily started coming in more. She'd never been there more than an hour or two at a time before, but now she arrived in perfect outfits, hair done, phone in hand. Hey guys, she said one morning, pushing open the glass door so hard the little bell nearly fell off. I'm filming a day in the life of a young CEO vlog. She turned the camera on our two employees, who looked confused and tried to smile. Then she swung it toward me, sitting at the computer with a stack of orders. You can be in the background, she told me, just doing bookkeeping or whatever. It'll look authentic. I clenched my jaw, but nodded. Fine. Later that day, one of our oldest customers, Mr. Wilson, came in to pick up his flyers. He smiled at me. Julia, I swear we wouldn't survive without you, he said. You run this place. Before I could respond, Emily laughed loudly. Oh no, she just helps. I'm the CEO now. Mr. Wilson's smile faded. He looked between us. Oh, I see. I wanted the floor to open and swallow me. In the afternoon, Emily stood behind the counter, frowning at the layout of the order forms. These are so ugly, she said. We need like a fresh look. They work, I replied. People understand them. That's what matters. You're too old-fashioned, Julia, she said, loud enough for our employees to hear. No wonder the brand feels dusty. Right then, my mom walked in from the back. What's going on? She asked. Nothing, I muttered. Just trying to bring us into this century, Emily said dramatically. Julia gets stuck in her ways. Mom sighed. She's right, honey. You're not very visionary. She stretched the word like it tasted bad. Our two employees avoided looking at me. I swallowed the humiliation like a hard stone. That night, my parents sat me down at the kitchen table. We need you to train Emily on everything, Dad said, steepling his fingers. Suppliers, pricing, accounts, that sort of thing. It'll just be temporary, Mom added quickly. Until she gets the hang of it. You know she's new to all this. I stared at them. So, I do the work. She gets the title. Now I'm supposed to teach her how to do the work too? Don't say it like that, Mom snapped. This is family. Dad leaned forward. Once things are stable, we'll talk about giving you some shares, okay? Just help us get through this transition. Shares. That word sounded like a cheap bandage over a deep cut. Still, I did what I always did. I agreed. For weeks I stayed late, showing Emily our supplier list, explaining how to negotiate better prices, walking her through the complicated order system I'd built. I opened files, shared spreadsheets, pointed out the tiny things that could ruin a job if you missed them. She listened with one ear while checking her phone with the other. Then, One night, I was scrolling through social media before bed when I saw her new post, a screenshot of our website, my website, the online store I'd built from scratch. Her caption read, "Spent all night building our new online platform. CEO life is no joke, but I love it. Women in business." My stomach dropped. In the comments, Mom had written, "So proud of you, sweetheart. You're a natural." The next day at the shop, I walked up to Emily while she was filming another video. "When you posted that," I said, keeping my voice low, "you could have at least mentioned I worked on the site." She rolled her eyes. "Oh my God, Julia, it's not that deep." "You didn't build it," I said. "I did. Every page, every form. You wouldn't even have a job if I wasn't taking this on," she snapped. "Don't be ungrateful." Ungrateful. Later that week, I was walking past the kitchen at night when I heard my parents talking softly. "We can't split ownership," Dad was saying. "It'll scare investors away." "Of course not," Mom replied. "Just keep her." Helping. Once Emily's brand is solid, we don't need Julia full-time. We'll offer her a small stipend so she can't say we threw her out. I stood there in the hallway, heart pounding, back pressed against the wall. So that was the plan. I wasn't part of the future. I was just a bridge they planned to burn once they reached the other side. In that moment, something shifted in me. If I stayed quiet, they'd use me forever. If I fought, I might lose everything. Or I might finally find out who I really was. What they didn't know was, they'd built this whole new era of the business on top of something I controlled. The online side, that was me. During my second year of college, when the pandemic hit and foot traffic dropped, I panicked. I remember the shop sitting empty, the machine silent, my dad pacing. "We're done," he'd said. "If people aren't coming in, we can't survive." So I went to my room, opened my laptop, and started building. I watched tutorials, took extra online classes, stayed up nights learning how to create a website, connected to payments, set up an order system. I registered the domain in my name because I hadn't known what else to put. I used my student email, my personal info. I set up the vendor accounts. All of it tied back to me. Within a few weeks, we had an online store. People started ordering banners, custom cards, printed masks. I built an email list. I ran small ad campaigns with the tiny budget we had, targeting local schools and small businesses. Then, in my final year, I did my capstone project on our own business. I put together a full plan for expanding our online services. I included charts, screenshots, data from our sales. My professor loved it. "This could double your family's revenue if they follow it," he'd said, tapping the front page. "You have a real talent for this, Julia." I still had that thick, graded packet in my drawer, his handwritten comments all over it. I also had something else, the school district contract. Last year, a local school district had reached out, needing a reliable printer for all their event programs and student cards. I'd taken the meeting myself, in a tiny office that smelled like old coffee. I showed them our new system, how easy it was to upload designs and place orders online. They signed with us. The contract had my name on it as the primary contact and manager. Not my dad's, not Emily's, mine. After hearing my parents' plan to push me out, I started collecting. I saved emails where they wrote things like, "Julia, set this up, it'll be your future." I screenshotted texts where Dad said, "One day this will all be yours if you keep working like this." I printed the contracts with my signature, highlighted the places where I was listed as manager or primary operator. I saved screenshots of Emily taking credit online for things I'd done. Then I called my old professor. We met in his small office on campus. The walls were covered in posters about entrepreneurship. He gave me a kind smile as I sat down. "You look tired," he said gently. "I am," I admitted. "I need help." I laid out everything, the brunch, the CEO title, the documents in Emily's name, my parents calling me a helper, their plan to edge me out. He listened quietly, hands folded. When I finished, he said, "Do you know what legal rights you have over the systems you built?" I shook my head. "Not really. They're my family." "Family or not," he said, "business is business. You set these up, in your name. You manage them. That matters. He opened a drawer and pulled out a card. Call her, he said. Her name is Anna. She's a small business lawyer. She helps people like you. I'll tell her you're coming. I left his office holding that card like a lifeline and a folder full of proof pressed tight to my chest. For the first time in weeks, I felt something other than shame. I felt possibility. Anna's office was small and simple. A desk, 2 chairs, a plant in the corner that looked like it needed more water. It smelled faintly of lemon cleaner. She was in her 30s, with tired eyes and a calm voice. Okay, Julia, she said. Show me what you've got. I spread everything out on her desk. Contracts, emails, screenshots, copies of our website registration. She read, eyebrows slowly lifting. You may not own the building, she said after a while, or the original business name. That's in your parents' names. She tapped one paper, then moved to another. But these digital assets, they're another story. What do you mean? I asked. These vendor accounts are registered with your personal email, the domains in your name. You built the e-commerce platform. The school district contract lists you as the primary contact. Legally, you have control over these unless you sign them over. Did you? I thought back. No, I never signed anything to transfer them. She nodded. Then you have leverage, especially if they've been treating the digital side as a major part of the business now. My mind spun. So I could, what, shut it down? You could, she said, but that's a nuclear option. I don't recommend starting there. What you can do is use this to negotiate. You have value. They've been acting like you're replaceable. You're not. On the bus ride home, I stared out the window, feeling equal parts scared and strong. That night, I sat at my laptop and started quietly preparing. I changed passwords on some of the accounts to stronger ones, still letting everything work normally, but now only I could change major settings. I organized all my evidence into neat folders, labeled by topic: promises, digital assets, contracts, social media. Meanwhile, my family grew more and more confident. Emily planned a big launch party for the new era of our company. She rented a small event space, ordered custom cupcakes with our logo on them, invited local business owners and a few influencers. She showed me the program she'd printed. Here, she said, handing me a copy. You're mentioned. I scanned it. Welcome speech, Emily Ramirez, CEO. Vision talk, Emily Ramirez. Q&A, Emily Ramirez and guest. At the bottom, in tiny letters, Operation Support, Julia. Operation Support, I said. That's it? Well, yeah, she said. You're more behind the scenes. I'm the face. Mom walked by, talking loudly on the phone. Yes, we finally have the business in the right hands, she was telling some relative. Emily's leading us into the future. Julia's good at the boring back-end stuff. It works. The words, boring back-end, hit me like a slap. One night, I was walking past the kitchen when I heard my parents' voices again. Once Emily's brand is solid, Dad said, we don't need Julia full-time. We can bring in cheaper admin. We'll offer her a small stipend, Mom replied. So she can't say we threw her out. She'll land on her feet. She's smart. She's smart suddenly sounded like an insult. At the shop a few days later, I made a tiny mistake. I printed a batch of flyers on slightly wrong paper weight. It was fixable. I caught it myself. Emily saw the stack and rolled her eyes dramatically. Do you even know what you're doing? She said loudly. This is why you could never run this place. Our employees froze. Emily, I started. It was a small... This is exactly what Mom and Dad meant. She cut me off. You're great at helping. That's it. My mom walked in from the back. What's going on now? She asked. Julia messed up an order, Emily said. Again. That's not what happened, I said, my face burning. Mom sighed and gave me a soft, pitying look. Emily, don't be too hard on her. She means well. That pity hurt more than Emily's insult. I felt my chest tighten, my eyes sting. I knew if I stayed out there another minute, I'd cry in front of them. So I turned, walked to the back office, and shut the door. For once, I didn't sit down and blame myself. I picked up my phone and called Anna. Tell me, I said, my voice shaking, exactly what I can do. We planned it for a Tuesday evening after closing. I told my parents and Emily in the morning, I need to talk to all of you tonight in the back office. It's important. Dad looked annoyed. Can't this wait? We're busy. It's about my place in this business, I said. It can't wait. They showed up at 6. The shop dark in front, only the hum of the fridge in the back room. They walked into the office and saw the papers neatly stacked on the desk. My laptop open, my phone beside it. They probably thought I was going to beg for a raise. My dad leaned against the filing cabinet, arms crossed. Emily swiped through her phone. Mom sat down with a sigh. So, Dad said, you've been thinking about your place here. Good. We were going to suggest maybe you take some extra admin courses. No, I interrupted. I'm not talking about some future maybe. I'm talking about the part I already built. Emily laughed softly. What are you even talking about? I picked up the first stack of papers and laid them out in front of them. These are the contracts for the school district, I said. See this? I tapped the line with my name. Primary contact, Julia Ramirez, not Emily, not Dad. I put down another page. This is the domain registration for our website, registered to my name, my email. I bought it. I set it up. I clicked on my laptop and turned the screen toward them, showing the admin panel for the online store. These are the back-end controls for our e-commerce platform. Only I have full access. Dad frowned. So what? You just set up some accounts. I built the entire online branch, I said, my voice steady. When customers order banners, cards, school programs online, that goes through systems I created. I negotiated the school contract myself. When you were panicking during the pandemic, I'm the one who kept money coming in. Emily scoffed. So what? You're just good with computers. Exactly, I said. The part that's been keeping your revenue growing is just what I do. Mom's eyes narrowed. Don't you dare threaten us, Julia. I'm not threatening, I said. I'm setting terms. Dad snorted. Terms? Who do you think you are? I took a breath. Either I'm recognized as a co-owner with control over the digital branch and fair shares, or I walk, and I take what's legally mine. Silence. Dad stepped forward, face red. You're nothing without this family, he said. No one will hire you. What will you do? Work at some chain store? Without a word, I clicked to another email on my laptop and turned it to him. It was from a small startup in the city. They'd seen my capstone project through my professor, plus the growth numbers from our online store that I'd shared in a competition. Dear Julia, it read, we'd love to meet. Your work building and managing an e-commerce platform for a local business is exactly what we're looking for. We're prepared to offer you a position leading our digital operations. I looked my dad in the eye. I have options, I said quietly. I'm not trapped here. Emily's mouth dropped open. You were going to leave? Without telling us? You were going to kick me out, I replied. Without telling me. I pulled out another paper. Also, the school district contract is up for renewal in 3 months. I had a call with their coordinator last week. She said, and I quote, we'd like to sit down again with the person who actually runs the systems. You've been great to work with, Julia. I let that sink in. If I leave, I said, they might not renew. They trust me. We built that relationship together, but you've put my name on all the documents. You can't just swap me out like a broken part. Mom's face lost some of its color. You can't just abandon us, she said, voice hard but shaky. After everything we've done for you? You abandoned me, I said, my own voice breaking now. The day you sat around that table, cut me out of the business I helped save, gave everything to Emily, and called me your helper. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then my phone buzzed on the desk. I picked it up and put it on speaker. Hi, Anna, I said. Hi, Julia. Her calm voice filled the room. Is this a good time? Yeah, I said. You're on speaker with my parents and my sister. My mom's eyes went wide. Who is this? Anna's a lawyer, I said. She's been reviewing my documents. Anna didn't waste time. Mr. and Mrs. Ramirez, she said. I've seen the contracts and registrations. Your daughter has legal rights to the digital platforms and accounts she created under her own name, unless you can show evidence those rights were transferred. You've also made written promises about her future in the business, which could be relevant if this gets messy. Messy? Dad sputtered. Are you threatening to sue us, young lady? I'm advising Julia on her options, Anna said calmly. One of those options is negotiation. It would be better for everyone if you come to an agreement. I ended the call after a few more sentences. I didn't want a full legal battle. I wanted them to understand I wasn't powerless. Finally, I pulled out 2 last papers and placed them on the desk between us. One, I said, sliding the first page forward, is my resignation letter. If I sign this, I walk away, and you'll lose immediate access to certain systems unless we make other arrangements. I'll also be free to join another company and take my skills and ideas with me. I slid the second page next to it. The other is a partnership proposal. It states that I become legal partner of the company, with clear equity in the digital side. You keep the physical shop fully, I control and co-own the online branch, and we agree on terms in writing. No more verbal promises. Dad's hands shook slightly as he looked down at the documents. You wouldn't dare, he said. I met his eyes, feeling strangely calm. Watch me. The little office felt too small, too quiet, as they all stared at the 2 paths I'd put in front of them. For the first time in my life, I was the one making the choice. They didn't decide that night. We argued. My dad shouted. My mom cried. Emily accused me of ruining her moment. I didn't back down. I went to my room, closed the door, and prepared myself for both outcomes. A few days later, they called me into the living room. The coffee table was covered in papers again, but this time some of them had my name next to the word partner. Dad couldn't quite look at me. We talked to a lawyer, he said stiffly. He confirmed a lot of what your friend said. It's not my friend, I said. She's a professional. We're willing, Mom cut in, voice tight, to sign an agreement making you co-owner of the digital branch. You'll have defined shares. We need you. She looked like saying those words physically hurt. Emily crossed her arms. You ruined everything, she snapped. This was supposed to be mine. You wanted the title, I said calmly. I did the work. Now we're finally being honest about that. The next hour was tense and awkward. We signed. We argued over percentages. We compromised. It wasn't perfect, but when I put my pen down for the last time, my hands weren't shaking. For the first time, my share of the business wasn't just a promise, it was ink on paper. Afterward, Dad hovered near the window, pretending to check his phone. Mom sat on the couch, twisting a tissue in her hands. We didn't realize you felt so left out, she said finally. I almost laughed at that, but I didn't. It's not about feelings, I said. It's about respect. You can't build a business on someone's back and then erase them from the picture. She opened her mouth, then closed it. No apology came out. I decided I wasn't going to pull one out of them. Over the next few months, I started changing how I worked. I set clear hours. I stopped jumping every time someone texted me, "Can you just quickly?" At 11 p.m., I focused on the digital side. I met with the school district and renewed their contract, this time with both my name and the company name clearly listed as partners. I also started taking on a few freelance clients of my own, under my own name, my own small brand. It was scary, but exciting. At the shop, my parents stopped calling me helper. They slipped up sometimes, but the flinch that followed told me they knew better now. Emily stayed mad for a while. She posted vague quotes about betrayal and haters. But eventually, even she had to admit the numbers from the online side were saving her from her own bad decisions. One night, months later, I walked out of the office, turned off the light, and paused in the doorway. The same room where they once sat and told me I'd always be just a helper. Now the contracts in the drawer had my name next to partner. I finally understood I never needed their approval. I needed my own. I still work with my family today, but on my terms. It's not a fairy tale. My parents haven't magically turned into perfect people. Emily and I still clash. There are still days when someone says something that stings. But now, there are boundaries. There's paper backing me up. There's a part of the business they can't pretend I don't own. If your family can't see your worth, that doesn't mean it's not there. Sometimes you have to show them with actions, not begging. Sometimes you have to be willing to walk away to prove you can stand on your own. I wish I'd believed in my value earlier. I wish I hadn't waited until they humiliated me at that dinner table with a cake that didn't even have my name on it. But I can't change the past. I can only control what I do now. Your story deserves to be heard. Share it with us. Tell me in the comments how your family has underestimated you and what you're doing about it. And if you're still in that quiet, painful place of being the helper, I hope my story reminds you you're allowed to ask for more. You're allowed to choose yourself.